It seems like one of my previous videos where I said that beta will be coming in early September, already aged like fine wine made of milk. I'll admit it was 100% my honest mistake for believing in Netmarble's decision making. Seems like they need over 40 days from the announcement of the beta to make it available. For now, all we have left to do is wait for Tokyo Game Show, where we will actually see the latest build of the game finally being playable for the real-life audience. Netmarble has made it incredibly difficult to be a content creator for this game because everything that they have posted so far on Twitter or other social media accounts has been absolute garbage that is simply not worth covering. However, there is one great thing in the latest trailer of the game where they actually showed a lot of gameplay. That said, let's analyze the newest trailer and see what differences we can find between the 2023 demonstration version of the game and the gameplay that we see in this newest trailer. As a quick reminder, this is how the UI looked before, and this is how it looks now. With that said, we can now analyze all the changes that have happened. Right away, we can notice that HP and stamina bars have both been moved from the left bottom side of the screen to the middle bottom part of the screen. Position for ultimate points has also been changed, and it's now over the top of HP and stamina bars. Additionally, the bar responsible for character switching has been changed completely, and it's sitting on the left side of HP and stamina bars. And you can also see the effects applied for the character under the bar for stamina. On the left side, where we previously had HP and stamina bars, you can now see the button responsible for items, the chat functionality, as well as what I presume to be enemy targeting. The buttons responsible for ultimate moves and special abilities have been moved from the middle bottom part of the screen to the right bottom side of the screen. In the demonstration version, you could see the buttons for the ultimate move and for only one special ability, although each character has two of them, excluding the unique abilities that certain characters possess, but we will talk about them later. In the newest build, the second special ability is no longer hidden, and you can see both of them on the left bottom side of the screen. As for the character icons, they have been moved slightly higher, so that buttons for abilities can be displayed right under them. Additionally, those icons also have received certain changes. On the left side of them, you can see the ultimate moves that the characters can use. And on the right side of them, you can see the weapons that the said character is using, where previously you could only see the special ability that the character would use right after the switch. As we move on to the top side of the screen, we can see other changes and additions that have happened to the UI. Firstly, let's begin with the map. Although it remains in a similar position, it has been slightly redesigned and made smaller, so other elements can be put next to it. For example, on the left you can see the time and weather. On the right side of the time you can see the weather. For example, in this picture it says sunny weather, so the icon is represented by sun, but in rain or snow the icon will change. On the left, however, you can see the time of the day, represented also by a sun in this case, but when it's night, it's represented with the moon. Now, I don't quite understand what's the bar on the right side of the map. If you guys are familiar with other games using similar mechanic, please let me know. And I also don't really understand what's right under it, but seems like it has certain amount of uses represented by points on the right side of it. So if you have any ideas, also let me know. And lastly, I also don't know what the plus button on the left side of the map represents, so please, if you guys have any ideas, let me know what those are. I would love to hear that. Now that said, let's continue with the icons on the top right side of the screen. The menu button remains unchanged, both in terms of location and its design. The previously existing two icons, presumably representing quests and guilds or knighthoods, have been removed, and in their place there is a button with board as its icon. I don't quite know what it represents, but most likely it is for notices or news. The icons representing the character menu and items menu are unchanged, however, they switched places. The little icon that looks like horse representing mounts has also been removed. Now, as for the newly added icons, we have 3 of them. First is the notifications icon, where you can also see a number representing the amount of notifications that you have received. The other 2 icons are unknown with their functionality, however, the right one looks like a gachapon machine, which you can see in Japan and in other countries in Asia, which would suggest that outside of normal gacha, there could be a different type of gacha that's used for maybe mounts, cosmetics or other items. Now, in the demonstration version of the game, on the left side of the screen, you could see the catalog of missions. Now, you can't see it on the newest version, however, I am assuming it's simply because it was a trailer and they did not want to cluster the UI with extra elements. I'm saying that because in developer commentary video, you could see something similar in the exact same place. So I can only assume that they did not abandon the idea, however they decided to change it up a little. Now with all that out of the way, we also have a new look at how the UI looks when you are using a mount. Previously the icon for the mount remained in the left bottom side of the screen with the stamina bar under it, but now it's in the middle bottom part of the screen with the special ability of the mount that was previously on the right side of the screen removed. While mounted, you are no longer able to use the item functionality as well as click certain icons on the top part of the screen, depending on if you are on the ground or in the sky. Also, an interesting detail is that in regular transportations, mounts do not consume their stamina, however they do against an enemy. The HP bars for enemies seem to be relatively the same, but the new version is slightly thinner and longer. The unique character ability that I was talking about before, that was in the middle part of the screen, right left to the ultimate move, has been shifted and it's now on the right bottom side of the screen next to other abilities. Also, a very nice detail is the fact that whenever you are using an ability or have an effect, the effect will be displayed on the top of the character themselves and then subsequently under the bar for stamina. Just like the buffs, characters can also receive debuffs from the enemies and they will be displayed the same way. Also, the debuff and buff icons will share the space under the stamina bar. Also in this certain picture, the name for the debuff is bugged. The icons showing locations of missions have also been changed. Previously they looked like Book of Stars, and now their design is very simplified. And also you can see the icons showing the distance between you and the boss enemy. HP bars and debuff icons related to bosses have also been changed, as well as the way that their name is written. This is how it looked before. The HP bar is now slightly shorter and the debuff is slightly farther from it. And also the debuff icons are squares. Also, next to the name you can see a rhomb figure, which was not in demonstration version before. Also, a very important detail is the fact that right to the HP bar you can see the elemental effect that will be applied to the enemy after continuously attacking them with the same element, in this case ice. Now, this type of mechanic is completely new and actually it's not that unique. If you have been following other anime games, you might be familiar with the game called Blue Protocol, which utilizes a similar mechanic. Well, at least it did in the previous version of itself. The mechanic is quite simple, as you continuously attack the enemy with the same elemental type of attacks, the elemental bar under the enemy's HP, in our case next to the enemy's HP, will fill up, and after it's full, a certain effect will take place against the enemy. Now, it's actually quite interesting that Netmarble decided to implement such a mechanic in this game, because if you look at the Steam page of the game, you can see that it still displays the MMO tag, and if you look at the page for PlayStation 5, you can see that it displays a playable amount of people as 5, which obviously is not an MMO, but still that's a lot of people. So it could be suggesting that there might be enemies or bosses that require teamwork to defeat, but that's still to be seen. Also, one of the aspects of MMO games is the notifications that pop up when you change from a location to another location. In this case, for example, we have Forest Gateway on the left side of the screen, and in the next shot we have Sacred Tree. And it's funny that these two take part in basically the same fight. This either means that the fight is very high scale and covers a lot of the map, or map itself is rather small. But of course, how you interpret the size of the map is 100% up to you. The developers have stated that at the launch, the size of the map will be around 30 square kilometers. And lastly, let's go over less important stuff, like speech bubbles when NPCs are interacting with each other. It looks nothing special, very simple, but gets the job done. Also, another detail is when you're interacting with an object, seems like you can still use your items, but the item icon goes from left bottom part of the screen to the right bottom part of the screen. And lastly, in cutscenes, you can see the skip button remains in the same place as previously, and there is also a functionality in the left top side of the screen. It's either chats or dialogues that happened during this cutscene. This is all the changes that I could find between the demonstration version of the game and its latest build shown in the latest trailer. If you guys have found any other differences, make sure to let me know in the comments. I would like to read about them. But with that said, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and have a wonderful day.